Yomide was an 18-year-old girl with a radiant smile and a heart full of dreams. She lived with her parents and two siblings in a beautiful home in Aja, Lagos. Her elder brother, Femi, was her role model, and her younger sister, Nifemi, was her best friend. Ayomide's father, Mr. Marcos, was a successful businessman, and their family never lacked anything. Ayomide had recently been accepted to a prestigious university abroad, and she was excited about the future. One warm evening, the family gathered in the dining room for dinner. The table was set with their favorite dishes, and the atmosphere was filled with laughter and conversation. Mr. Marcos, a jovial man with a booming voice, was recounting one of his many business adventures. Can you believe it, Ayomide? The client almost signed the wrong contract. Mr. Marcos laughed heartily, his eyes twinkling with joy. Ayomide giggled, her eyes sparkling. Dad, you always have the best stories. Nifemi, only 10 years old, looked up at her father with wide eyes. Tell us more, Daddy. Mrs. Marcos, a kind and gentle woman, smiled warmly at her family. Now, let your father eat his dinner. There will be plenty of time for stories. Suddenly, the peaceful evening was shattered by the sound of the front door being kicked open. Four armed men burst into the dining room, their faces masked and their voices menacing. Nobody moved. One of them shouted, waving his gun around. The family's laughter turned to screams. Mr. Marcos stood up, trying to shield his family. Please, don't hurt us. Take whatever you want. We want money. Another armed man backed. Where is the money? We don't have money in this house, Mrs. Marcos pleaded, her voice trembling. Please believe us. Without warning, one of the men shot Mrs. Marcos in the chest. She collapsed to the floor, her eyes wide with shock. Ayomide screamed, her heart breaking at the sight of her mother lying lifeless on the ground. Mommy, Nifemi cried, tears streaming down her face. Ayomide, thinking quickly, grabbed Nifemi and tried to hide, but Nifemi was too scared to move. Gunmen turned his attention to Nifemi and shot her too. Ayomide, in sheer terror, hid under the curtain, trying to stifle her sobs as the nightmare unfolded before her eyes. The gunmen turned their guns on Mr. Marcos. Where is the money? They demanded. There is money upstairs, Mr. Marcos said, his voice shaking. Please don't hurt my children. The men forced Mr. Marcos upstairs to retrieve the money. Ayomide could hear their heavy footsteps and her father's muffled voice as they tried to reason with them. She held her breath, praying for a miracle. Minutes later, the gunmen returned, shoving Mr. Marcos down the stairs. He stumbled and fell, clutching a bag of money. The men snatched the bag from him and pointed their guns at him. Please, Mr. Marcos begged, we have given you everything, let us go. The leader of the gunmen sneered. No witnesses. He pulled the trigger and Mr. Marcos fell to the ground, lifeless. Ayomide's heart stopped. She wanted to scream, to fight, but she knew it would only endanger herself. The gunmen left as quickly as they had arrived, leaving a trail of death and despair in their wake. Ayomide crawled out from under the curtain, her body shaking with fear and grief. She saw her mother, her father, and her little sister lying motionless on the floor. Wake up, she whispered, her voice breaking. Please wake up. Her neighbors, hearing the gunshots, rushed into the house. They saw the carnage and immediately called for help. One of the neighbors, Mrs. Ade, knelt beside Ayomide. Ayomide, we need to get you out of here, Mrs. Ade said gently, trying to pull her away from the horrific scene. No, Ayomide screamed, clutching her mother's lifeless hand. I can't leave them. They need me. The paramedics arrived and quickly assessed the situation. They moved Ayomide away from her family's bodies and tried to comfort her. But Ayomide was inconsolable. She felt as if her heart had been ripped from her chest. Hours later, at the hospital, Ayomide was told the devastating news. "I'm sorry, Ayomide." The doctor said softly, "Your family didn't make it." Ayomide's world crumbled around her. She fell to the ground, her body wrecked with sobs. "No, no, no," she repeated, unable to comprehend the reality of her loss. The hospital staff contacted Femi, who was away on his National Youth Service. When he received the call, he rushed home immediately, his heart heavy with fear and sorrow. "Ayo," Femi called out as he entered the hospital. He found her sitting in the waiting room, her eyes red and swollen from crying. "Femi," she whispered, looking up at her brother. "They are gone. They are all gone." Femi knelt beside her, pulling her into his arms. "I'm here, Ayo, I'm here." Ayomide clung to her brother, her only remaining family. The weight of her grief was almost too much to bear, but she knew she had to stay strong. For Femi, for the memory of her parents and sister. The next few days were a blur of funerals, condolences, and overwhelming sorrow. Ayomide couldn't sleep, couldn't eat. She felt numb, as if she were living in a nightmare from which she couldn't wake up. But Femi was there for her, holding her hand, whispering words of comfort. "We will get through this, Ayo," he promised. "We'll get through this together." Despite his words, Ayomide couldn't shake the feeling that her life would never be the same again. After months of mourning their tragic loss, Femi decided that a change of environment might help them heal. He suggested to Ayomide that they relocate to Abuja, hoping that a new city would help them forget the haunting memories of Aja. "Ayo, I think we should move to Abuja," Femi said gently one evening, sitting beside Ayomide in their living room. "We need a fresh start, somewhere we can try to rebuild our lives." Ayomide, staring blankly at the wall, barely reacted. Since the incident, she had become a shadow of her former self. She was no longer the vibrant, cheerful girl who filled their home with laughter. Instead, she was withdrawn, silent, and perpetually tired. "I don't know, Femi," she whispered. "I don't think I can ever forget what happened." Femi took her hand, his eyes filled with determination. "We don't have to forget, Ayo. We just need to learn to live again. Abuja might help us do that." After much persuasion, Ayomide reluctantly agreed. They packed their belongings and left their house in Aja, heading to the bustling capital city of Abuja. Femi hoped that the change of scenery would bring some semblance of peace to their troubled lives. Upon arriving in Abuja, Femi made sure Ayomide was settled in comfortably. He rented a cozy apartment in a quiet neighborhood, far from the noise and chaos of the city center. Despite the new surroundings, Ayomide's condition didn't improve. She struggled with sleepless nights and could only rest with the help of sleeping pills prescribed by her doctor. One morning, Femi found Ayomide sitting by the window, staring out at the cityscape. She looked pale and frail, a stark contrast to the vibrant young woman she once was. "Ayo, it's time for your appointment," Femi said softly, hoping not to startle her. Ayomide turned to him, her eyes dull and lifeless. "I don't want to go, Femi. What's the point? Pills are the only thing that help." "We need to keep trying," Femi insisted. "There is a new hospital here. Maybe the doctors can find a better solution." Reluctantly, Ayomide agreed, and Femi drove her to the hospital. The waiting room was filled with people, but Femi managed to get an appointment with one of the best psychiatrists in the city. "Miss Ayomide, it's important that we try to address the root cause of your insomnia," Dr. Johnson said, reviewing her medical history. "These pills are only a temporary solution." "I just want to sleep without the nightmares," Ayomide murmured, her voice barely audible. "Every time I close my eyes, I see them, I see what happened. Dr. Johnson nodded sympathetically. We will work on that, Ayomide. It will take time, but with therapy and the right medication, we can help you. Femi thanked the doctor and led Ayomide back to the car. As they drove home, he couldn't help but feel a pang of guilt. He wished he could do more for his sister to take away her pain and suffering. At home, Femi continued to care for Ayomide, making sure she had everything she needed. He took over their father's company in Abuja, dedicating his time to both the business and his sister's well-being. He worked tirelessly, balancing the demands of the company and Ayomide's constant need for support. One evening, Femi found Ayomide sitting alone in her room, looking through an old photo album. The pictures were of happier times, family vacations, birthdays, and celebrations. Tears welled up in her eyes as she traced her fingers over the images. I miss them so much, Femi, she said, her voice breaking. I don't know how to live without them. Femi sat beside her, wrapping his arm around her shoulders. I miss them too, Ayo, every single day. But we have to keep living, for them and for ourselves. Ayomide leaned her head on his shoulder, finding comfort in his presence. I don't know if I can, Femi. It's too hard. We will do it together, Femi assured her. I will be here every step of the way. I promise. Days turned into weeks and weeks into months. Despite Femi's unwavering support, Ayomide's condition showed little improvement. She rarely left the house, preferring the safety of her room. She avoided social interactions and refused to make new friends, fearing the pain of loss all over again. Femi, determined to find a solution, researched tirelessly, seeking out the best doctors and therapists in Abuja. He even consulted traditional healers, hoping that anyone, could help his sister find peace. One day, Femi came home with a glimmer of hope. Ayo, I found a specialist who deals with trauma-induced insomnia. She's highly recommended. Would you be willing to see her? Ayomide looked at him, her eyes weary. I don't know, Femi. I'm so tired of trying and failing. Just one more try, Femi urged. For me, please. After a long pause, Ayomide nodded slowly. Okay, Femi, one more try. Femi smiled, relieved. Thank you, Ayo. We'll get through this, I promise. As they prepared for yet another doctor's visit, Femi couldn't help but pray that this time things would be different. He had promised to protect Ayomide at all costs, and he was determined to keep that promise no matter what it took. After their visit to the new hospital proved fruitless, Ayomide resigned herself to the reality that she might never sleep without the aid of pills. Accepting this, she decided to live her life as best she could. She took her sleeping pills each night, allowing herself the only reprieve she could find from the memories that haunted her. Months passed, and Ayomide began to adapt. She resumed cooking and doing household chores, slowly regaining a semblance of her former life. Femi was overjoyed to see these small but significant changes in his sister. You are doing great, Ayo, Femi said one evening as he watched her prepare dinner. I'm so proud of you. Ayomide smiled faintly, stirring a pot of stew. I'm trying, Femi. It's not easy, but I'm trying. I know you are, Femi replied, giving her a reassuring hug. And you are doing an amazing job. Ayomide's efforts paid off. She started to smile more often, and she even began watching TV, something she hadn't done since the tragedy. Femi took every opportunity to encourage her progress, always reminding her of how far she had come. One day, Femi came back home from work with a surprise. Ayo, I want you to meet someone, he said, ushering in a tall, friendly-looking man. This is my best friend from work, Daniel. Ayomide wiped her hands on a towel and offered a polite smile. Hello, Daniel. It's nice to meet you. Nice to meet you too, Ayomide. Daniel replied warmly. Femi has told me a lot about you. Ayomide glanced at Femi, who nodded. I hope it's all good things, she said, trying to inject a bit of humor into her tone. Only the best, Daniel assured her. I was hoping I could get to know you better. Despite her initial hesitation, Ayomide agreed to let Daniel join them for dinner. She prepared a delicious meal, putting extra effort into making it special. As they sat around the table, the atmosphere was surprisingly light and filled with laughter. The stew is fantastic, Ayomide, Daniel complimented, taking another bite. You have a real talent for cooking. Thank you, Ayomide replied, blushing slightly. I enjoy cooking. It's one of the few things that helps me relax. I'm glad to hear that, Daniel said. It's important to have something that brings you peace. As the evening progressed, Ayomide found herself enjoying the company. Daniel's presence was calming, and he had a way of making her feel comfortable. They chatted about various topics, and Ayomide even laughed a few times. Femi watched his sister with a smile, happy to see her engaging with someone new. Daniel, thank you for coming over. It means a lot to both of us. It's my pleasure, Daniel replied. I hope I can visit again. Of course, Ayomide said, surprising herself with how much she meant it. You are always welcome here. From that day on, Daniel became a frequent visitor. Even when Femi wasn't home, Daniel would stop by to see Ayomide, bringing her small gifts or just sitting with her to talk. Their friendship grew, and Ayomide began to look forward to his visits. One afternoon, as they sat on the porch, Daniel turned to Ayomide with a serious expression. Ayo, I know it's not easy for you, but I want you to know that I am here for you. Whenever you need someone to talk to or just someone to sit with, I'm here. Ayomide looked at him, her eyes softening. Thank you, Daniel. You have already done so much for me, more than you know. I just want to see you happy, Daniel said gently. You deserve that. Ayomide felt a warmth in her heart, something she hadn't felt in a long time. I'm trying to move forward, she admitted. It's hard, but having you and Femi makes it a little easier. Daniel reached out and took her hand, giving it a reassuring squeeze. We'll get through this together, Ayo, one step at a time. Over the following weeks, Ayomide continued to make progress. She ventured out of the house more often, sometimes accompanied by Daniel or Femi. She started to reconnect with the world, slowly rebuilding her life piece by piece. One evening, as she and Daniel walked through a nearby park, Ayomide paused to watch a group of children playing. It's strange, she said softly. Seeing them so happy makes me remember what it was like before. Everything. It's okay to remember, Daniel said, standing beside her. Those memories are a part of you, but you also have the chance to create new happy memories. Ayomide nodded, feeling a glimmer of hope. You are right. I want to try, for my parents, for Nifemi, and for myself. And you will have me and Femi by your side, Daniel reminded her every step of the way. As they continued their walk, Ayomide felt a sense of peace. She knew there would still be difficult days ahead, but she also knew she wasn't alone. With Femi and Daniel's support, she believed she could find a way to live again, to truly heal from the pain of the past. And so, Ayomide took each day as it came, cherishing the moments of happiness and walking through the moments of sorrow. Slowly but surely, she began to rebuild her life, one step at a time. Weeks passed, and Daniel found himself spending more and more time with Ayomide and Femi. The bond he had formed with Ayomide grew stronger, and with it, his feelings for her. He admired her resilience, her courage to keep moving forward despite everything she had been through. But he was afraid to tell her how he felt, fearing that it might jeopardize their friendship and make her uncomfortable. One evening, after dinner at Femi and Ayomide's home, Daniel lingered in the kitchen, helping Ayomide with the dishes. Femi had gone to his room to finish some work, leaving the two of them alone. Thank you for helping, Ayomide said, handing Daniel a dish to dry. It's the least I can do, Daniel replied, trying to keep his tone casual. You always cook such wonderful meals. It's only fair I help with the cleanup. Ayomide smiled, her eyes lighting up. I'm glad you enjoyed the food. Cooking has become a part of therapy for me. You are really good at it, Daniel said, meaning every word. You have a talent. Thank you, Daniel. Ayomide said softly, you have been so kind to me. I don't know what I would do without you and Femi. We are happy to be here for you, Ayo, Daniel said, his heart pounding in his chest. He wanted to say more, to tell her how much she meant to him, but the words caught in his throat. As the days turned into weeks, Ayomide started to attend jam lessons to prepare for her return to school. It was a significant step forward, and both Femi and Daniel were thrilled to see her excited about the future again. I can't believe I'm going back to school, Ayomide said one morning as Femi drove her to her tutorial class. It's been so long. You have worked hard to get here, Ayo, Femi said, glancing at her with pride. You are going to do great. When Daniel wasn't working, he often accompanied Femi to pick Ayomide up from her lessons. The three of them would chat about their day, making plans and sharing stories. It became a routine that brought a sense of normalcy and joy back into Ayomide's life. One afternoon, as they waited outside the tutorial center, Daniel turned to Femi, trying to gauge his thoughts. She looks happier, doesn't she? Daniel said, watching Ayomide walk out of the building with a group of new friends, her face lit up with a genuine smile. Femi nodded, his expression thoughtful. Yeah, she does. It's good to see her like this. She's been through so much. Ayomide approached the car, waving goodbye to her friends. Hey, you two, ready to go? Always, Femi replied with a grin. How was class today? It was great, Ayomide said as she climbed into the car. I'm really starting to get the hang of it again. I even made a couple of new friends. That's wonderful, Ayo, Daniel said, his heart swelling with pride. You are doing an amazing job. As they drove home, the conversation flowed easily. Ayomide shared stories about her classes and her new friends, and Femi and Daniel listened attentively, offering encouragement and support. It was moments like this that Daniel cherished, even as he struggled with his growing feelings for Ayomide. One evening, after dropping Ayomide off at home, Femi and Daniel decided to grab a drink at a nearby cafe. As they sipped their coffees, Femi turned to Daniel with a serious expression. It's great to see Ayo doing so well, Femi said, a note of relief in his face. She has come such a long way. She really has, Daniel agreed, taking a sip of his coffee. She is an incredible person. Femi nodded, his eyes reflecting his deep care for his sister. I don't know what we would have done without your support, Daniel. You have been like family to us. It's been my pleasure, Femi, Daniel said. You both mean a lot to me. Daniel kept his feelings for Ayomide to himself, unsure how she would react if she knew. Instead, he focused on being the best friend he could be, offering support and encouragement as she continued her journey towards healing. One afternoon, as Ayomide and Daniel sat in the living room watching TV, Ayomide turned to him with a thoughtful expression. Daniel, do you ever think about the future? All the time, Daniel replied, curious about where she was going with this. Why do you ask? I have been thinking about it a lot, Ayomide said, her gaze distant, about what I want to do, where I want to go. It's scary, but it's also exciting. Daniel smiled, feeling a sort of affection for her. You have so much potential, Ayo. Whatever you decide to do, I know you will succeed. Thank you, Ayomide said, her eyes meeting his. Your belief in me means a lot. As the weeks went by, Ayomide's confidence grew. She was more engaged in her studies and started to talk about her dreams for the future. Femi and Daniel continued to support her, proud of the progress she was making. One evening, as they were having dinner together, Femi raised his glass to Ayo for her strength and determination. You are an inspiration to us all. Ayomide blushed, touched by her brother's words. Thank you, Femi, and thank you, Daniel. I couldn't have done this without you both. Daniel raised his glass, his heart full to new beginnings and brighter days ahead. Ayomide smiled, feeling a sense of hope and gratitude. With Femi and Daniel by her side, she knew she could face whatever challenges lay ahead. And though Daniel's feelings for her remained unspoken, the bond they shared continued to grow, strengthening their friendship and giving Ayomide the support she needed to keep moving. Days later, Femi had to travel for a business trip, leaving Ayomide under Daniel's watch. Ayomide was feeling anxious because her JAMB exam was scheduled for the next day. Ayo, I'm going to be away for a few days, Femi said, standing by the door with his suitcase. Daniel will stay over tonight and keep an eye on you. You know you can count on him. I know, Femi, Ayomide replied, managing a small smile. Good luck with your trip. Thanks and good luck with your exam tomorrow, Femi said, giving her a hug. You will do great. That evening, Daniel arrived as planned. They had dinner together and Ayomide felt a comforting sense of normalcy with Daniel's presence. Are you nervous about tomorrow? Daniel asked as they washed up after dinner. A little, Ayomide admitted, but I have been studying hard. I think I'm ready. You will do just fine, Daniel said encouragingly. Get a good night's sleep and I will make sure you are up on time. That night, Ayomide took her sleeping pills and went to bed early. She felt secure knowing Daniel was there, and she fell into a deep sleep. However, when she woke up the next morning, she felt unusually tired and weak. She grudgingly looked around her room, disoriented. Daniel, she called out, but there was no response. Confused, Ayomide got out of bed and checked the living room and kitchen. There was no sign of Daniel. Panic started to set in as she realized she was running late for her exam. She hurriedly prepared herself and rushed out to get a cab to take her to the exam center. During the cab ride, Ayomide's mind raced. She couldn't understand why Daniel would leave without saying anything. She tried calling him several times, but his phone went straight to voicemail. Arriving at the exam center just in time, Ayomide forced herself to focus. She took a deep breath, gathering her thoughts, and walked into the examination hall. Despite the morning's chaos, she managed to concentrate and complete her exam. After the exam, Ayomide tried calling Daniel again, but there was still no answer. Feeling a mix of worry and frustration, she boarded a cab and went home. The apartment was empty and silent, a stark contrast to the turmoil in her mind. When Femi returned home a few days later, Ayomide was waiting for him at the door, her face etched with concern. Ayo, what's wrong? Femi asked, dropping his suitcase and rushing to her side. It's Daniel, Ayomide said, her voice trembling. He stayed over the night before my exam, but when I woke up, he was gone. I haven't heard from him since. I have tried calling, but he won't pick up. Femi frowned, pulling out his phone. I will call him and find out what's going on. He dialed Daniel's number, and after a few rings, Daniel picked up. Hey Daniel, it's Femi. What's going on? Ayomide said you disappeared and haven't been answering our calls. There was a pause on the other end of the line before Daniel spoke. I'm sorry, Femi. I had an emergency and had to rush back to the village. I should have called, but everything happened so fast. Femi relayed the information to Ayomide, who looked both relieved and confused. He says he had an emergency in the village. That's why he left. Ayomide nodded slowly, trying to make sense of it. I guess that explains it. But why didn't he call or text me? I was so worried. I don't know, Femi said, still holding the phone. Daniel, you should have let Ayo know. She was really worried. I know and I'm sorry, Daniel replied. Please tell her I will explain everything when I get back. It was just a chaotic situation. Femi ended the call and turned to Ayomide. He says he will explain everything when he gets back. I'm sure it was just a misunderstanding. Ayomide sighed, feeling a mix of emotions. I hope so. It was just so strange. 1 minute he was there, and the next he was gone. Try not to worry too much, Femi said, giving her a reassuring hug. I'm sure he will be back soon, and everything will be fine. Days turned in 2 weeks, and there was still no word from Daniel. Ayomide tried to focus on her studies and her daily routines, but the nagging worry about Daniel's sudden disappearance lingered in the back of her mind. One evening, as Ayomide and Femi were having dinner, he couldn't hold back her thoughts any longer. Femi, what if something bad happened to Daniel? What if he needs our help? I'm sure he's fine, Ayo, Femi said, though his voice lacked confidence. But if it will make you feel better, I will try calling him again tomorrow. The next day, Femi made several attempts to reach Daniel, but there was no answer. Ayamide's concern grew with each passing day. She found herself replaying the events of that morning over and over in her mind, searching for any clues she might have missed. As the weeks passed, Ayomide began to accept that Daniel might not come back. She tried to push the worry aside and focus on her own life, drawing strength from Femi's constant support. But every now and then, she would find herself glancing at her phone, hoping to see a message or a missed call from Daniel. She missed his presence, his encouragement, and the friendship they had built. Despite the unanswered questions, Ayomide knew she had to keep moving forward. She had come too far to let this setback derail her progress. With Femi by her side, she resolved to face whatever challenges lay ahead and to hold on to the hope that one day she would have answers. After some time, Ayomide began feeling unwell. She often felt nauseous and started throwing up frequently. Femi, worried about his sister's health, rushed her to the hospital. They waited anxiously in the brightly lit waiting room, Femi holding Ayomide's hand tightly. Ayo, you'll be fine, Femi reassured her. We will figure out what's wrong. When the doctor finally returned, he held a solemn expression. Miss Ayomide, the test shows that you are pregnant. Femi's eyes widened in shock. Pregnant? How is that possible? Ayomide's face turned pale. No, that can't be right. I'm a virgin. The doctor raised an eyebrow, clearly skeptical. The tests are quite conclusive. Perhaps you should think back over the past few months. No, you don't understand. Ayomide insisted, her voice trembling. I have never. I can't be pregnant. Femi, still in disbelief, drove Ayomide home in silence. As soon as they entered the house, his confusion turned to anger. Who got you pregnant, Ayomide? Femi demanded, his voice echoing through the house. Tell me the truth. No one, Femi, Ayomide cried, tears streaming down her face. I swear, no one. I'm still a virgin. The doctor must have made a mistake. Don't lie to me, Ayomide, Femi shouted, his face contorted with rage. I lived for a few days, and this is what happens. You have been living a wayward life behind my back. No, Femi, please believe me, Ayomide pleaded. I haven't done anything. I don't know how this happened. Femi stormed out of the house, leaving Ayomide sobbing on the floor. She cried throughout the night, feeling a deep sense of betrayal and confusion. The next day, Femi, still fuming, decided to call Daniel. To his surprise, Daniel answered. Daniel, we need to talk. Can you meet me at the cafe? Femi asked, trying to keep his voice steady. Sure, Femi, I'll be there in an hour. Daniel replied, sounding concerned. At the cafe, Femi couldn't hold back his frustration. My sister is pregnant, Daniel. Can you believe that? And she claims she's a virgin. Daniel's eyes widened in shock. Pregnant? Ayo? Yes, Ayo. She's been lying to me, pretending to be this innocent girl while sneaking around. Femi spat out, anger evident in his voice. I need you to talk to her. She listens to you. Daniel, looking troubled, nodded slowly. I will come by after work. But Femi, take it easy on her. There might be more to this than we understand. Back at home, Ayomide tried once again to reason with Femi. Please, Femi, you have to believe me. I haven't done anything wrong. But Femi, his mind clouded with anger and disappointment, refused to listen. Stop lying, Ayo. Just stop. As days turned into weeks, Ayomide's pregnancy began to show. Femi's frustration grew with each passing day. One evening, his anger reached a boiling point. You need to leave, Ayomide, Femi said coldly. Go find the father of your child and live with him. You can't stay here anymore. Femi, please, Ayomide begged, clutching her small bag. I have nowhere to go. Please don't do this. But Femi's heart had hardened. You have brought shame to this family. Leave. With tears streaming down her face, Ayomide stepped out into the cold night. She clutched her bag tightly, her heart breaking with each step she took away from the only home she had left. As she walked through the deserted streets, her mind raced with fear and confusion. She had no idea where to go or what to do. All she knew was that she was alone and abandoned by the people she loved most. Daniel, who had promised to come after work, never showed up. Ayamido's hopes of finding comfort and support from him were shattered. She felt utterly betrayed and lost. With nowhere else to turn, Ayomide wandered the streets aimlessly. She found herself at a small park where she sat on a bench, hugging herself against the cold. Her tears flowed freely as she thought about the baby growing inside her and the uncertain future that lay ahead. As the night grew colder, Ayomide shivered, feeling the chill seep into her bones. She wrapped her arms around herself, trying to stay warm, but the cold was relentless. Her mind replayed the events of the past few weeks, searching for answers that eluded her. She thought about her parents, her sister, and the life they once had. The memories brought a fresh wave of tears. She felt an overwhelming sense of loss and longing for the warmth and security of her family. Morning came, and with it, a faint glimmer of hope. Ayomide knew she had to keep moving, to find a way to survive for the sake of her unborn child. She got up from the bench, her body stiff and cold, and began to walk again. As she wandered through the city, she found herself outside a church. The doors were open, and she could hear the faint sound of hymns being sung. Drawn by the warmth and the promise of solace, Ayomide walked inside. The church was nearly empty, save for a few people scattered in the pews. She found a seat at the back and sat down, her hands resting on her growing belly. The hymns filled the air, soothing her troubled mind. For the first time in weeks, Ayomide felt a sense of peace. She closed her eyes and let the music wash over her, praying silently for strength and guidance. She knew the road ahead would be difficult, but she was determined to keep moving forward, no matter how hard it got. She left the church. Ayomide felt a renewed sense of determination. She would find a way to survive, for herself and for her baby. She would not let the darkness of her past define her future. With each step she took, Ayomide moved closer to a new beginning, holding on to the hope that one day she would find the answer she so desperately sought and the peace she so deeply needed. Ayomide wandered through the city, her mind consumed with worry for her unborn child. As she walked, she noticed a house with a sign that read, "House Help Wanted." Desperate for shelter and work, she decided to inquire. She knocked on the door, her heart pounding with anxiety. A middle-aged woman answered, looking at Ayomide with a mixture of curiosity and suspicion. "Yes, can I help you?" the woman asked. "Please, ma'am," Ayomide began, her voice trembling. "I saw the sign. I need a job and place to stay. I will work hard, I promise." The woman studied Ayomide for a moment, then sighed. "Come in, let's talk." Inside, Ayomide explained her situation. The woman, Mrs. Adeleke, was sympathetic. "We need someone to keep the house clean while we are abroad. You will live here with the other staff." "Thank you, ma'am," Ayomide said, tears of relief filling her eyes. "I will let you down." Mrs. Adeleke introduced Ayomide to Lulu, another cleaner who lived in the house. Lulu, a warm and friendly woman, welcomed Ayomide with open arms. "Hi, I'm Lulu," she said, giving Ayomide a reassuring smile. "Don't worry, we'll take good care of you here." "Thank you, Lulu," Ayomide replied, feeling a weight lift off her shoulders. As the days passed, Ayomide settled into her new life. She worked diligently, cleaning the house and making sure everything was in order. She shared a room with Lulu, who quickly became her confidant and friend. One evening, as they sat in their room, Lulu asked, "Ayo, what happened? How did you end up here?" Ayomide hesitated, then shared her story. She told Lulu about the tragedy that took her family, her struggle with insomnia, and the mysterious pregnancy that led to her being cast out by her brother. "I'm so sorry, Ayo," Lulu said, taking her hand. You have been through so much, but you are strong. You will get through this. Thank you, Lulu, Ayomide said, grateful for her friend's support. I don't know what I would do without you. One day, Ayomide felt a sharp pain in her abdomen. She knew it was time. Lulu, I think I'm going into labor, she gasped. Lulu sprang into action, helping Ayomide to the car and rushing her to the hospital. Hang in there, Ayo, we are almost there. At the hospital, Ayomide was taken into the delivery room. Lulu waited anxiously, praying for her friend. After a few hours, a nurse came out with a tiny crying baby boy. Congratulations, it's a boy, the nurse said, handing the baby to Lulu. Lulu's joy was short-lived as she noticed the frantic activity in the delivery room. Something was wrong. Moments later, a doctor emerged, his expression grave. Are you a relative of Ayomide? He asked. Lulu shook her head. No, but I'm a friend. What happened? The doctor sighed. Ayomide had complications and started bleeding heavily. We did everything we could, but I am sorry she didn't make it. Lulu's heart shattered. She clutched the baby to her chest, tears streaming down her face. No, Ayo! She made a series of calls, her hands trembling. When she reached Femi, his voice was filled with confusion and worry. Yes, what is it? What's wrong? This is Lulu, Ayo's friend. Femi, I'm sorry. Ayo, she's gone. She had complications during childbirth. Femi's world collapsed. No, that can't be true. No. He rushed to the hospital, his mind racing with guilt and sorrow. When he arrived, he found Lulu holding the newborn baby, her eyes red from crying. Femi, I'm so sorry, Lulu said, handing the baby to him. She wanted you to know she loved you. Femi took the baby, his heart breaking. He looked at Ayomide's lifeless body, tears streaming down his face. Ayo, I'm so sorry. I failed you. Please forgive me. But it was too late. Ayomide couldn't hear him anymore. Femi held the baby close, vowing to protect him and honor Ayomide's memory. He arranged for Ayomide's body to be taken home and gave her a proper burial. At the funeral, Femi stood by her grave, his heart heavy with regret. I promise I will take care of your son, Ayo. I promise. Back at home, Femi dedicated himself to raising Ayomide's baby. He named the boy Ayodele, meaning joy has come home, hoping to bring a sense of hope and light into their lives. As he cared for Ayodele, Femi couldn't shake the guilt of not believing his sister and sending her away. Each night, as he rocked Ayodele to sleep, Femi spoke softly to his sister's spirit. I'm so sorry, Ayo. I should have trusted you. I should have been there for you. I will make it up to you by being the best father I can to Ayodele. Lulu continued to visit, helping Femi with the baby and offering her support. She had grown fond of Ayodele and felt a sense of responsibility towards him. One afternoon, as they sat in the living room, Lulu turned to Femi. You know, Ayo was one of the strongest people I have ever met. She will be proud of you, Femi. Femi nodded, his eyes filled with gratitude. Thank you, Lulu. Thank you for everything. One serene morning, as Femi fed little Ayodele his breakfast, the tranquility of their home was shattered. The front door burst open and Daniel stumbled in. His face twisted in anguish. He fell to his knees, tears streaming down his face. Femi, I need to talk to you, Daniel cried, his voice cracking. Please listen to me. Femi looked up, startled and confused. Daniel, what's going on? What happened? Daniel's hand trembled as he clasped them together, looking up at Femi with desperation. I have to confess something. I was the one who took advantage of Ayomide that night you traveled. I loved her, but I couldn't tell her. The devil pushed me to do it. She took her pills and fell asleep without knowing what was happening. I was a coward, so I disappeared before she woke up. I couldn't face her anymore, and that was why I stayed away. But her spirit haunts me every day. Femi's face turned pale with shock. He tightened his grip on Ayodele, his hand reeling with disbelief. What are you saying, Daniel? You did this to Ayomide? I did, Daniel sobbed, his voice filled with regret. I couldn't bear the guilt. I loved her so much, but I did something unforgivable. I am sorry, Femi. Femi's heart pounded with a mix of rage and sorrow. He could hardly believe the man they had trusted like family could commit such a heinous act. Daniel, how could you? We trusted you. Ayomide trusted you. I know, Daniel whispered, his head bowed in shame. I am a monster. I deserve whatever punishment you decide. Femi stood, still holding Ayodele, his face hardening with resolve. You are right, Daniel. You deserve to pay for what you did to my sister. I'm calling the police. Daniel didn't resist as Femi dialed the number. The police arrived promptly and Daniel was arrested for rape. As they led him away, Daniel turned to Femi one last time. Femi, please, tell Ayomide's spirit that I'm sorry. I will live with this guilt for the rest of my life. Femi watched as the police car drove away, taking Daniel to face his punishment. He felt a heavy weight lift from his shoulders, knowing that justice was finally being served. Days later, Femi took Ayodele to Ayomide's grave. The cemetery was quiet, the air filled with the soft rustling of leaves. Femi knelt by his sister's headstone, his heart aching with sorrow and regret. Ayo, I'm so sorry, he whispered, tears streaming down his face. I should have believed you. I failed you in so many ways. Please forgive me. He gently placed Ayodele down and watched as the baby reached out to touch the headstone, his tiny fingers brushing against the cold marble. Femi's tears flowed freely as he promised his sister that he would raise her son with all the love and care she had deserved. I will never make another mistake like that again, Femi vowed. I will protect Ayodele and make sure he knows how much he loved him, I promise. Femi stayed at the grave for hours, speaking to Ayomide as if she were right beside him. He shared his hopes and dreams for Ayodele, vowing to honor her memory in every way possible. As time passed, Femi's guilt began to ease, replaced by a newfound sense of purpose. He threw himself into raising Ayodele, ensuring that his nephew grew up surrounded by love and support. The little boy's laughter became a source of healing for Femi, a reminder that life could still hold joy despite the pain of the past. News of Daniel's death in prison reached Femi months later. The circumstances were unclear, but it was said that Daniel had succumbed to his own torment and guilt. Femi felt a strange mix of emotions, sorrow for the friend he had once known, and a grim sense of closure. One sunny afternoon, Femi took Ayodele to the park. As they played together, he thought about the journey they had been through, the hardships, the lessons learned, and the bonds strengthened by adversity. He knew that Ayomide's spirit would always be with them, guiding and protecting them. Ayodele, Femi said, lifting the boy onto his shoulders. Your mother was the strongest person I ever knew. She loved you so much, and she fought hard to bring you into this world. You are her legacy, and I'm going to make sure you grow up knowing how incredible she was. Ayodele giggled, his small hands gripping Femi's hair. Mama? Yes, your mama, Femi said, smiling through his tears. She's watching over us, Ayodele, and she's proud of you. As the sun set, casting a warm glow over the park, Femi felt a sense of peace. He had learned valuable lessons from the tragedy that had befallen his family. He understood the importance of trust, love, and the strength to move forward. In the end, Femi knew that Ayomide's memory would live on through Ayodele. He was determined to honor her by raising her son with all the love and devotion she deserved. And so, despite the sorrow and loss, Femi and Ayodele faced the future together, united by the enduring spirit of Ayomide's love. Trust and believe in your loved ones, even in the face of doubt. True support and understanding can prevent deeper regret and foster healing. Always act with compassion and integrity, as betrayal and dishonesty can lead to inseparable harm and suffering. Aba is a lively city in the southeastern part of Nigeria, known for its busy markets and hardworking people. The streets are always filled with activity, from the sounds of traders calling out their goods to the hum of motorcycles weaving through traffic. Aba is famous for its vibrant market where you can find almost anything from fresh produce and fish to colorful fabrics and handcrafted goods. The city never seems to sleep, with people bustling about from dawn till dusk. In this bustling city, there lived a young boy named Uzochukwu. He was 22 years old, full of hope and dreams, but life had not been easy for him. Uzochukwu grew up with his parents in a face me, I face you one room apartment. This type of housing is common in Aba, where many families live together in a compound with shared bathrooms and kitchens. The rooms are small and space is tight, but the sense of community is strong. Neighbors often helped each other, sharing food and looking after one another's children. Uzochukwu's father, Ekene, was an Okada rider. He rode his motorcycle taxi through the crowded streets of the main market in Aba, picking up passengers and taking them to their destinations. It was a tough job, especially under the hot sun, but it was the only way he could earn money to support his family. Every morning, Ekene would wake up before dawn, prepare his motorcycle, and head out to work. Take care of your mother and siblings, Uzo, he would say as he left the house. Uzochukwu's mother, Ebere, sold fish at the bustling market. Every day, she would set up her stall early in the morning, arranging the fresh fish on display and calling out the customers to buy from her. Fresh fish! Come and buy fresh fish! She would shout, hoping to attract buyers. Ebere worked tirelessly, often standing for hours under the scorching sun. Despite their hard work, Uzochukwu's family was very poor. They struggled to make ends meet, often worried about how to pay for food and other necessities. Uzochukwu had to stop schooling after his senior WAEC examination because his parents couldn't afford the fees anymore. It was a difficult decision, but Uzochukwu knew he had to help his family. He started hustling in the market, doing odd jobs to earn money. One afternoon, as Uzochukwu was helping a trader carry heavy sacks of rice, his friend Chinedu approached him. Uzo, why did you stop school? Chinedu asked, concerned. I had to, Chinedu. My family needs me, Uzochukwu replied, wiping sweat from his brow. We can't afford the fees anymore, and my siblings need to stay in school. I have to help pay for their education. Chinedu nodded, understanding. You are a good brother, Uzo. It's not easy, but you are doing the right thing. Uzochukwu worked hard every day. He carried heavy loads for traders, ran errands, and sometimes helped his mother at her fish stall. He saved every penny he earned to help pay for his younger siblings' school fees. Uzochukwu had two younger brothers, Obina and Chiemeka, and a sister, Adeze, and he wanted them to have the education he couldn't finish. He believed that if they could stay in school, they might have a better chance at a brighter future. Even though life was tough, Uzochukwu was a kind and caring young man. He always had a smile on his face and a positive attitude. He never gave up on his dreams, even when things seemed hopeless. He hoped that one day he would make enough money to lift his family out of poverty. He dreamed of a better life where they wouldn't have to worry about their next meal or how to pay the bills. One evening, as Uzochukwu was helping his mother at the market, Ebere looked at him with concern. Uzo, you work so hard. Are you not tired? She asked. Uzochukwu shook his head, smiling. Mama, I am doing this for us. One day, things will get better, I believe. Ebere sighed, her eyes filled with love and worry. I pray so, my son. I pray every day for our situation to improve. Every night, after a long day of work, Uzochukwu would sit outside their small room and look up at the stars. He would think about his future and make plans in his head. One day, he would say to himself, I will make a lot of money. I will build a big house for my parents, and my siblings will go to the best schools. We will not be poor anymore. Despite the struggles, Uzochukwu's spirit remained strong. He found joy in the little things, like playing football with his friends in the neighborhood or spending time with his family. He knew that as long as he kept pushing and working hard, there was hope for a better tomorrow. And with that hope, he faced each new day with determination, ready to take on whatever challenges come his way. On weekends, Uzochukwu would sometimes visit his friend Ebuka, who also lived in the same type of housing. They would talk about their dreams and aspirations. Uzo, what do you want to do in the future? Ebuka asked one day. I want to be successful, Ebuka. I want to make enough money to take care of my family and give them a good life. Uzochukwu replied, You will achieve it, my friend. You have the heart and the drive. Ebuka encouraged him. These conversations gave Uzochukwu hope and strength. He knew he was not alone in his struggles, and that made him even more determined to succeed. Uzochukwu's journey was just beginning, and he believed that one day all his hard work would pay off. He held onto his dreams tightly, knowing that with patience and perseverance, anything was possible. On their street in Aba, Uzochukwu had developed a secret crush on a girl named Adama. Adama had recently relocated from Abuja to stay with her grandmother. She was 20 years old, beautiful and jovial. Her presence on the street was like a breath of fresh air. Adama was friendly and always waved at Uzo whenever she saw him, her bright smile lighting up his day. One afternoon, as Uzochukwu was returning from the market, he saw Adama sitting on the steps of her grandmother's house. She waved at him as usual. Hello, Uzochukwu. How are you today? She called out cheerfully. I am fine, Adama. How are you? Uzochukwu replied, feeling his heart skip a beat. I'm good, thank you. Would you like to join me? I have some fresh mangoes. Adama offered, patting the step beside her. Uzochukwu hesitated for a moment but then walked over and sat down. Thank you, he said, accepting a slice of mango. As they ate the mangoes, they talked about various things, from the bustling life in Aba to their dreams and aspirations. Uzochukwu found himself enjoying her company more than he had anticipated. Adama's laughter was infectious, and her optimism was refreshing. Over time, they became good friends. Every evening after Uzochukwu had finished his work for the day, he would sit in front of a big store in front of Adama's compound and chat. They laughed, shared stories, and talked about their future. These moments became the highlight of Uzochukwu's day. One evening, as they sat together, Adama looked at Uzochukwu thoughtfully. Uzo, what do you want to do in the future? She asked. Uzochukwu smiled, feeling comfortable sharing his dreams with her. I want to make a lot of money and take care of my family. I want to build a big house for my parents and ensure my siblings get a good education. That's a wonderful dream, Uzo, Adama said, her eyes sparkling. I believe you can achieve it. You are hardworking and determined. And what about you, Adama? What are your dreams? Uzochukwu asked. I want to become a successful seamstress and open my own shop one day, Adama replied. I have started learning sewing at the village market and I'm enjoying it. Maybe one day I will make beautiful clothes for everyone in Aba. As time went by, their friendship blossomed into something more. They agreed to date, and their neighbors quickly noticed the budding romance. Whispers and gossip about their relationship spread through the street. Everyone knew that Uzochukwu and Adama were now a couple. Their relationship was often compared to that of Romeo and Juliet, a story of young love that everyone admired. One day, as Uzochukwu and Adama were walking home together, they ran into Uzochukwu's parents. Ebere looked at her son with concern. Uzo, be careful. Don't do anything stupid. She warned. Yes, Mama, I promise not to do anything stupid. I know our situation. Uzochukwu reassured her, understanding her worry. Despite their financial struggles, Uzochukwu and Adama's relationship continued to thrive. Adama would often visit Uzochukwu's house, even when his parents were around. She quickly became a part of the family, helping Ebere with household chores and sharing meals with them. One evening, as they all sat down for dinner, Ebere smiled at Adama. You are like a daughter to us now, Adama. Thank you for being so kind and supportive, she said. Thank you, Mama. I'm happy to be part of your family. Adama replied warmly. Adama was a source of constant encouragement for Uzochukwu. She would often motivate him to keep working hard and not give up on his dreams. Uzo, you are doing great. Just keep pushing. One day, all your hard work will pay off, she would say. Uzochukwu appreciated her support more than he could express. Thank you, Adama. Your words mean a lot to me. I'm lucky to have you by my side, he said one evening as they sat in front of the store, watching the stars. Adama also continued to pursue her own dreams. She was doing well in her sewing lessons and often shared her progress with Uzochukwu. Look, Uzo, I made this dress today, she said excitedly one day, showing him a beautiful sewn dress. That's amazing, Adama. You are very talented. Uzochukwu praised her. Their love and support for each other grew stronger with each passing day. They shared their struggles and celebrated their little victories together. Uzochukwu knew that with Adama by his side, he could face any challenge that came his way. Their relationship was a beacon of hope and love in the midst of their difficult circumstances. They dreamed of a better future together, where their hard work and dedication would bring them the success and happiness they longed for. Months passed and life in Aba continued as usual for Uzochukwu. He worked hard every day to support his family and make ends meet. His relationship with Adama grew stronger, and she remained a constant source of encouragement for him. They often sat together in the evenings, discussing their dreams and the future. One afternoon, Uzochukwu's friend Ebuka approached him with exciting news. Uzo, I have decided to travel to Asaba. My friends are there, and they said there are better opportunities to hustle and make money. I think you should come with me, Ebuka said enthusiastically. Uzochukwu was taken aback. Travel to Asaba? But I'm fine here in Aba. Ebuka, I can't just leave my family, he replied. Ebuka frowned slightly but continued. Think about it, Uzo. We could make a lot of more money in Asaba. There are more jobs and the pay is better. We could change our lives for the better. Uzochukwu shook his head. I appreciate the offer, Ebuka, but my family needs me here. I can't leave them. Besides, Aba is my home. I know how things work here. Ebuka sighed, trying to convince his friend. I understand your concern, but this could be a great opportunity. We can make enough money to support our families and maybe even save some for the future. Uzochukwu looked thoughtful for a moment. Ebuka, I understand where you are coming from, but I have responsibilities here. My parents depend on me, and my siblings need my support. I can't abandon them. Seeing that Uzochukwu was firm in his decision, Ebuka placed a hand on his friend's shoulder. All right, Uzo. Just promise me you will be careful. Keep working hard, but make sure you don't get into any trouble. And remember, always be conscious about the kind of work you do. I promise, Ebuka, you will be careful too. Asaba is a big city, and it's easy to get caught up in the wrong things. Stay safe and don't take unnecessary risk. Uzochukwu advised, his concern evident in his voice. Days later, Ebuka packed his bags and left for Asaba. Uzochukwu watched him go, feeling a mix of sadness and relief. He hoped his friend would find success, but also worried about the potential dangers Ebuka might face. Asaba was known for its bustling lifestyle and various opportunities, but it was also a place where people could easily get into trouble if they weren't careful. Back in Aba, life went on as usual for Uzochukwu. He continued his daily hustle, working different jobs to earn money and support his family. Despite the challenges, he remained hopeful and determined. Adama, who was becoming increasingly skilled, in her fashion work, always found time to visit Uzochukwu and his family. Her presence brought joy and comfort to their household. One evening, as Uzochukwu and Adama sat outside his house, Adeze Uzochukwu's little sister joined them. She had a big smile on her face. Brother Uzo, you are doing a great job. Don't give up. Everything will be alright. Adeze said, her voice filled with encouragement. Thank you, Ada. Your words mean a lot to me. Uzochukwu replied, patting his sister on the head. I won't give up. I will keep pushing for all of us. Adama nodded in agreement. Uzo, you have a strong spirit. I believe in you, and I know you can achieve great things. We all believe in you. I'm grateful for your support, Adama. You and Adeze give me the strength to keep going. Uzochukwu said, smiling warmly at them. As the days turned into weeks, Uzochukwu continued to work hard, never losing sight of his dreams. He balanced his responsibility to his family with his growing relationship with Adama. Despite the hardship, there was a sense of hope and determination in his heart. One afternoon, as Uzochukwu was working at the market, he received a phone call from Ebuka. Hey Uzo, how is it going? Ebuka asked, his voice sounding cheerful. Hey Ebuka, it's good to hear from you. How is Asaba? Uzochukwu replied, eager to hear about his friend's experiences. Asaba is great, man. There are lots of opportunities here, just like I thought. I have found a good job and things are looking up. Ebuka said excitedly. I'm happy for you, Ebuka. Just remember to stay safe and make wise choices. Uzochukwu cautioned. Don't worry, Uzo. I'm being careful. I will keep you updated on how things are going, Ebuka assured him. After the call, Uzochukwu felt a renewed sense of determination. He was glad to hear that his friend was doing well and took it as a sign that better days were ahead for him too. He knew that if he kept working hard and staying focused, his efforts would eventually pay off. As the sun set over Aba, Uzochukwu looked around at the familiar streets and bustling markets. This was his home, and he was determined to make a better life for himself and his family. With the support of Adama, his family, and the lessons he had learned along the way, Uzochukwu faced each new day with hope and determination, ready to overcome any obstacles that came to his way. 6 months had passed since Ebuka left for Asaba, and life in Aba continued its usual rhythm for Uzochukwu. He worked tirelessly to support his family, his days filled with hustle and hard work. But one afternoon, the quiet routine of the market was shattered by an astonishing piece of news. Ebuka had returned, and he wasn't the same boy who had left. Uzochukwu was busy helping a customer when a young boy ran up to him, breathless with excitement. Uzo, Uzo, Ebuka is back, and he has a big luxury car. He's throwing money everywhere. Uzochukwu's heart raced. What? Are you serious? Yes, everyone is talking about it. You should go see for yourself, the boy said, his eyes wide with excitement. Uzochukwu quickly finished his task and hurried to the scene. As he approached, he could see a large crowd gathered, all eyes fixed on a gleaming luxury car parked in the middle of the street. Ebuka was standing on top of the car, laughing and throwing money into the air. Children and adults alike were scrambling to pick up the bills, shouting with joy. Uzochukwu pushing his way through the crowd, his eyes widening in shock. Ebuka, is that really you? He called out. Ebuka turned and saw his friend. A wide grin spread across his face. Uzochukwu, my brother, come here, he shouted, waving him over. As the excitement died down, Ebuka climbed down from the car and embraced Uzochukwu. It's so good to see you, Uzo. I can't believe my eyes, Ebuka. How did you get so rich? Uzochukwu asked, still in shock. Come, let's talk, Ebuka said, leading Uzochukwu to a nearby lounge. They found a quiet corner and sat down. Tell me everything, Ebuka. How did you manage all this? Uzochukwu asked, his curiosity burning. Ebuka leaned back in his chair, a satisfied smile on his face. There is a lot of money in Asaba, Uzo. I found some good opportunities and worked hard. I now have a big mansion and this car. Life has changed for me. Uzochukwu was dumbfounded. A mansion? That's incredible, Ebuka. But what kind of work did you do? Ebuka's smile faltered slightly, but he quickly regained his composure. different businesses. The important thing is that I made it. And you can too, Uzo. You should come with me to Asaba. We can change your family's life. Uzochukwu listened intently, but a nagging doubt crept into his mind. I don't know, Ebuka. I have responsibilities here, and I can't just leave Adama and my family. Think about it, Uzo. You can make so much money. Imagine how much better life would be for all of them. Ebuka urged. They continued talking, eating, and drinking late into the night. Uzochukwu's mind was a whirlwind of thoughts. When he finally returned home, he found it impossible to sleep. He lay in bed, tossing and turning. Ebuka's words echoing in his mind. Should I go to Asaba and make money for my family and Adama? He wondered aloud. But what if the money isn't pure? What if I get into trouble? He prayed for guidance. God, please show me the right path. I don't want to make a mistake. The next day, Ebuka visited Uzochukwu again. He handed him a card and an address in Asaba. Here, Uzo, this is where you can find me if you decide to come. Trust me, you won't regret it. Thanks, Ebuka. I will think about it. Uzochukwu replied, taking the card. Ebuka gave him a reassuring pat on the back. Take care, Uzo. I hope to see you soon in Asaba, he said before getting into his car and driving away. Left alone with his thoughts, Uzochukwu stared at the card in his hand. The temptation to join Ebuka was strong, but his instincts warned him to be conscious. He needed to consider his family, Adama, and the potential risks. That evening, Adama came over to visit. She noticed the troubled look on Uzochukwu's face. Uzo, what's bothering you? You seem so distracted, she said gently. Uzochukwu sighed deeply. Adama, Ebuka came back yesterday. He's very rich now. He has a luxury car and even a mansion in Asaba. Adama's eyes widened in surprise. Wow, that's amazing. How did you do it? He said there are lots of opportunities in Asaba. He wants me to go with him to make money. Uzochukwu explained. Adama looked thoughtfully. Do you think it's a good idea? I don't know, Adama. One part of me wants to go and make money for our family, but another part of me is worried. What if the money isn't clean? What if I get into trouble? Uzochukwu confessed. Adama placed a reassuring hand on his arm. Uzo, I believe in you. Whatever decision you make, I know it will be the right one. Just be careful and think it through. Thank you, Adama. Your support means a lot to me, Uzochukwu said, feeling slightly more at ease. The next few days were filled with inner turmoil for Uzochukwu. He couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right. He prayed every night, asking for God's guidance. The morning sun filtered through the thin curtains of their small room as Uzochukwu gathered the courage to talk to his parents about Ebuka's return. He knew it would be a difficult conversation, but he needed their guidance. His parents, Ekene and Ebere, were sitting at the kitchen table, discussing the day's plans. Papa, Mama, I need to talk to you about something important. Uzochukwu began, his voice steady but anxious. Ekene looked up from his cup of tea, a concerned expression on his face. What is it, Uzo? You seem troubled. It's about Ebuka. He came back from Asaba with a lot of money and a luxury car. He wants me to go with him to make money, Uzochukwu explained, his eyes searching their faces for a reaction. Ebere's face tightened with worry. Uzo, this sounds too good to be true. Wealth like that doesn't come easily or suddenly. It makes me uneasy. I know, Mama. That's why I'm asking for your advice. Should I go to Asaba to hustle? Uzochukwu asked, hoping for clarity. Ekene sighed deeply. Son, you know we want the best for you. But Ebuka's wealth seems unreal, almost suspicious. We don't want you to get into trouble. Stay here and continue to hustle. Slow and steady wins the race. Uzochukwu nodded, understanding their concern. Alright, Papa, Mama, I will stay back and continue to work hard here. Despite his decision, Ebuka kept calling Uzochukwu, sending pictures of his latest achievements, a new house, expensive clothes, and more. Each message was a reminder of the life Uzochukwu could potentially have. The temptation grew stronger each day. One evening, after receiving another call from Ebuka, Uzochukwu couldn't ignore the pull any longer. He decided to travel to Asaba. That night, He approached his parents again. Papa, Mama, I have thought about it a lot. I think I need to go to Asaba. I need to try and change our lives. Ekene and Ebere exchanged worried glances. Are you sure about this, Uzo? Ekene asked, his voice filled with concern. Yes, Papa. I will be careful. If things get hard, I will come back home. Uzochukwu promised. Ebere hugged her son tightly. We trust you, Uzo. Just remember, no matter what happens, this will always be your home. Be safe and come back to us. The next morning, Uzochukwu went to see Adama. She could tell something was different. Uzo, what's going on? You look serious. She asked, her eyes filled with worry. Adama, I have decided to go to Asaba. I need to try and make money for our family. Uzochukwu said, taking her hands in his. Adama's eyes filled with tears. I understand, Uzo. Just promise me you will be careful and come back soon. I will miss you so much. I promise, Adama. I will come back as soon as I can. Thank you for always supporting me, Uzochukwu said, hugging her tightly. The day Uzochukwu left was a somber one. His family and Adama gathered to bid him farewell. Adama cried as she hugged him tightly, her heart heavy with worry. Be safe, Uzo. I will be praying for you every day. Adama whispered through her tears. I will, Adama. I will come back soon, I promise. Uzochukwu replied, trying to keep his own emotions in check. His parents also hugged him, alongside his siblings, their eyes filled with both pride and concern. Remember, Uzo, if things get tough, come back home. We are always here for you. Ekene said firmly. I will, Papa. I love you all. Uzochukwu said, his voice breaking slightly. With a heavy heart, Uzochukwu boarded the bus to Asaba. As the bus pulled away, he looked back at his family and Adama, all waving and wiping tears from their eyes. His heart raced with a mix of excitement and fear, and he prayed silently for God's protection and guidance. The journey to Asaba was long and filled with thoughts of what lay ahead. Uzochukwu stared out the window, the landscape changing from the familiar streets of Aba to the unknown roads leading to Asaba. He clutched the card Ebuka had given him, feeling a sense of both hope and dread. God, please protect me and guide me. Help me make the right decisions, Uzochukwu prayed quietly. As the bus approached Asaba, Uzochukwu felt a surge of determination. He was taking a big risk, but he believed it was worth it for the chance to provide a better life for his family and Adama. The city of Asaba loomed ahead, bustling with activity and opportunity. Uzochukwu knew his journey was just beginning, and he hoped it would lead to the bright future he dreamed of. The bus finally arrived at the station in Asaba. Uzochukwu took a deep breath, stepped off the bus, and into the bustling city. He was ready to face whatever challenges came his way, armed with hope, determination, and the support of his loved ones back home. Upon arriving in Asaba, Uzochukwu felt a mix of anticipation and unease. He hailed a tricycle, commonly known as Keke Napepe, to take him to Ebuka's location. The driver navigated through a bustling street of Asaba, which were lively and full of energy, much like Aba, but with a different flavor of opportunity and mystery. As the keke approached a large gated mansion, Uzochukwu's eyes widened in disbelief. The mansion was grand, with tall gates and a beautiful garden. It was unlike anything Uzochukwu had ever seen. He paid the driver and stood in front of the gate, feeling a mix of excitement and apprehension. Is this really where Ebuka lives now? Uzochukwu muttered to himself. The gate opened and Ebuka appeared, grinning from ear to ear. Uzo, welcome my brother. I'm so glad you came, Ebuka exclaimed, pulling him into a tight hug. Ebuka, this place is incredible. I can't believe it, Uzochukwu said, still in shock. Come inside, let me show you around, Ebuka said, leading Uzochukwu through the grand entrance. The interior of the mansion was even more impressive, with luxurious furnishings and modern decor. Despite the grandeur, Uzochukwu felt uneasy. The sudden wealth and opulence made him uncomfortable. However, Ebuka did everything possible to make him feel at home. Relax, Uzo. You are my guest. Make yourself comfortable, Ebuka said, offering him a drink. That night, they ate a lavish dinner and drank expensive wine. Ebuka was in high spirits, sharing stories of his new life in Asaba. Uzo, this city,
has been good to me. There is so much opportunity here. I'm glad you decided to come, Ebuka said. Uzochukwu smiled, but his mind was racing. I hope I made the right decision, he thought to himself. After dinner, Ebuka showed him to a large, comfortable guest room. This is your room. Get some rest. Tomorrow, we will start getting you set up, Ebuka said. Thank you, Ebuka. Good night. Uzochukwu replied, closing the door behind him. The room was spacious, with a large bed and modern amenities. Uzochukwu lay down but found it hard to sleep. His mind was filled with doubt and questions. How did Ebuka get all this money so quickly? What kind of business is he involved in? He wondered. He tossed and turned, praying for clarity and guidance. The next morning, Ebuka was already up and ready. Good morning, Uzo. Let's get you some new clothes, he said cheerfully. They went to a high-end boutique where Ebuka bought Uzochukwu several expensive outfits. You need to look the part if you are going to succeed here, Ebuka said, handing Uzo a bag of clothes. Uzochukwu was overwhelmed. Ebuka, this is too much. You don't have to do all this. Nonsense, Uzo. You are my brother. I want to help you. Ebuka insisted. Next, they visited an electronics store where Ebuka bought Uzochukwu the latest iPhone. You will need this for our business. It's important to stay connected. Ebuka explained. Thank you, Ebuka. I appreciate everything you are doing for me. Uzochukwu said, though he still felt a nagging sense of unease. Back at the mansion, Uzochukwu couldn't help but admire the view from his room. The city of Asaba stretched out before him, full of possibilities. Yet, despite the luxury and kindness shown by Ebuka, something didn't sit right with him. Ebuka, when will you tell me about this business? I want to understand what I'm getting into, Uzochukwu asked that evening. Don't worry, Uzo. I will introduce you to everything soon. Just enjoy yourself for now. You deserve it. Ebuka replied with a reassuring smile. That night, Uzochukwu lay in his large, comfortable bed, his thoughts racing. This all feels too good to be true, he thought. I need to know what kind of business this is. I can't shake the feeling that something isn't right. He prayed for wisdom and clarity, hoping to find answers soon. God, please guide me. I don't want to make a mistake that could ruin everything, he whispered into the darkness. The next day, Uzochukwu decided to wait patiently for Ebuka to introduce him to the business. He hoped that once he understood the nature of the work, he would feel more at ease. For now, he would enjoy the comfort and luxury, but always with a cautious heart and a prayer for guidance. Later that day, Ebuka took Uzochukwu around Asaba, showing him the vibrant parts of the city and introducing him to some of his friends. They visited upscale restaurants, busy markets, and even some nice live spots. Look around, Uzo. This is the life we can have, Ebuka said as they sat in a trendy cafe, sipping on cold drinks. It's impressive, Ebuka, but I still need to know about this business. Uzochukwu replied, trying to mask his unease. Patience, Uzo. I will show you everything soon. Just trust me. Ebuka reassured him. Despite Ebuka's attempt to make him feel at home, Uzochukwu couldn't shake off his doubt. He was grateful for the hospitality but remained cautious. He knew that the answers he sought would come in time, and until then, he would remain vigilant and prayerful, hoping that his decision to come to Asaba was indeed the right one. 2 weeks passed, and Ebuka finally decided it was time to introduce Uzochukwu to his business partners. Uzochukwu was both excited and anxious, eager to see the mysterious source of Ebuka's sudden wealth. The day began early, with Ebuka picking him up in his luxurious car. Today is the day, Uzo. You will finally see what I have been talking about, Ebuka said with a smile as they set off. I can't wait, Ebuka. I'm ready to meet your partners and understand the business, Uzochukwu replied, his excitement barely contained. They journeyed through the beautiful roads of Asaba and well-maintained streets. Uzochukwu admired the view, feeling a mix of hope and nervousness. However, as they drove further, the scenery began to change. The bustling city gave way to quieter, more rural areas. Ebuka, where exactly are we going? Uzochukwu asked, noticing the shifts in their surroundings. Don't worry, Uzo. We're almost there, trust me, Ebuka reassured him. They drove into a lonely village in Delta State. The roads were narrow and less traveled, and Uzochukwu's unease grew, but he trusted Ebuka and chose not to question him further. Soon, They arrived at a very lonely path, and Ebuka stopped the vehicle. We are here. Come on, Uzo, let's go. Ebuka said as he got out of the car. Uzochukwu hesitated, fear gripping his heart. Ebuka, where exactly are we? This place looks deserted. Relax, Uzo. We are almost at our destination. Just follow me. Ebuka said, his tone still calm and reassuring. They trekked down the lonely path, the silence of the surroundings amplifying Uzochukwu's apprehension. After what felt like an eternity, they reached a local house on the outskirts of the village. It was an old, dilapidated building surrounded by thick vegetation. Ebuka knocked on the door and it creaked open to reveal a giant woman with large breasts. Uzochukwu's heart pounded in his chest, fear evident in his eyes. Ebuka, what is this place? Who is she? Uzochukwu whispered, his voice trembling. Don't worry, Uzo. This is the mother of wealth. She's here to help you make money. Ebuka said, dragging him inside. The giant woman looked at Uzochukwu with piercing eyes. Welcome, she said in a deep, resonant voice. I am the mother of wealth. Ebuka told me that you seek my help to become rich. Uzochukwu's fear intensified, but he couldn't back out now. I I don't know if this is a good idea, Ebuka, he stammered. The woman beckoned him forward. Come closer, child. Drink from my breast, and you will have all the wealth you desire. She said, her voice commanding. No, I don't want to do this. I want to leave. Uzochukwu protested, stepping back. The woman's expression darkened. There is no going back. If you refuse, you will die. You must drink from my breast. Uzochukwu was paralyzed with fear. He looked at Ebuka, who gave him a reassuring nod. Do it, Uzo. It's the only way. With a heavy heart and tears in his eyes, Uzochukwu stepped forward. The woman introduced herself as the mother of wealth and ordered him to drink from one of her breasts. Drink from Aranwa and Asaba, and your wealth will come to you, she said. Trembling, Uzochukwu finally succumbed and drank from her breast. A deep sadness etched on his face. The act felt both humiliating and terrifying. When he finished, the woman gave him a stern warning. Your wealth is on the way. But remember, you must never give your money to anyone you love. If you do, you will face their consequences. Without another word, they left the house. Uzochukwu was silent, his mind reeling from what had just happened. The drive back to Asaba was filled with a heavy, uncomfortable silence. Ebuka tried to make small talk, but Uzochukwu was too overwhelmed to respond. That night, back at the mansion, Uzochukwu locked himself in his room. He felt a deep sense of regret and sadness about what he had done. He sat on the edge of his bed, staring at the floor, his mind racing with thoughts and fears. What have I done? How could I let myself be drawn into this? He muttered to himself, tears streaming down his face. He prayed fervently, seeking solace and forgiveness. God, please forgive me. I don't know what I have gotten myself into. Please guide me and protect my family. The night was long and restless. Uzochukwu's mind was a storm of emotions, battling between fear, regret, and a desperate hope that somehow things would turn out alright. He knew he had crossed a line, and there was no turning back now. All he could do was wait and hope that he could find a way to navigate this new treacherous path. The next morning, Uzochukwu woke up to an astonishing sight. Bags of hard currency piled up in his room. Startled and confused, he ran out to find Ebuka. Ebuka, come quickly. There is money everywhere. Uzochukwu shouted, his voice trembling. Ebuka walked in with a confident smile. Congratulations, Uzo. You have made it. This is the beginning of your new life. But how? Where did all this money come from? Uzochukwu asked, still in shock. Don't worry about that, Uzo. What matters is that you are wealthy now. We will gradually exchange the money and put it into your account. Everything is set up for you. Ebuka reassured him. Over the next few days, with Ebuka's help, Uzochukwu exchanged the money consciously, ensuring it was deposited safely into his bank account. The process was nerve-wracking, But Ebuka's confidence kept Uzochukwu calm. Soon, Uzochukwu found himself with a substantial amount of money. "You are officially a wealthy man, Uzo. It's time to start living like one," Ebuka said, patting him on the back. Uzochukwu decided to invest in a big business, which to his amazement became very successful. He built a luxurious house and bought a sleek car. His lifestyle changed dramatically, filled with extravagance and opulence. However, amid all this newfound wealth, he began to distance himself from his family and Adama. "Why did you change your phone number, Ozo?" Ibuka asked one day. I just couldn't face them. I don't know how to explain all of this to them." Usochukwu replied, his voice heavy with guilt. Weeks turned into months and Uzochukwu stopped calling his family. His parents and siblings tried to reach him but couldn't because he had changed his phone number. Adama too was left in the dark, her worry growing with each passing day. One evening, as Adama sat with Uzochukwu's mother Ebere, she couldn't hold back her tears. "Mama, I'm so worried about Uzo. It's been months since we heard from him. What if something happened to him?" Ebere sighed, her eyes filled with sadness. "I don't know, Adama. He promised to come back, but now he's just vanished. We pray for him every day." Meanwhile, Uzochukwu lived his new life in Asaba with a heavy heart. Despite the luxury and the company of beautiful women, he felt an overwhelming sense of emptiness. He threw lavish parties and spent extravagantly, trying to fill the void left by his family's absence. One night, as he sat alone in his grand living room, surrounded by opulence, he felt a crushing wave of guilt. "What have I done? I have abandoned the people who mean the most to me," he thought, tears welling up in his eyes. He remembered Adama's smile and his parents' loving faces. The guilt of leaving them behind gnawed at him, but the fear of facing them and the shame of explaining his sudden wealth kept him away. At another party, a friend noticed his distant expression. "Uzo, what's wrong? You have everything now. Why the long face?" Uzochukwu forced a smile, nothing, just tired. It's been a long day. But deep down, he knew the truth. He was lonely, and no amount of money or material wealth could replace the love and support of his family. Every night, he lay in bed, haunted by the decision he had made and the people he had left behind. One evening, Ebuka tried to talk to him. "Uzo, you have got everything. Why don't you seem happy?" Uzochukwu looked away, unable to meet Ebuka's gaze. "I don't know, Ebuka. Maybe because I left my family behind. I haven't spoken to them in months. They must think I have forgotten about them. You made a choice to change your life. It's not easy, but you did it for a reason," Ebuka replied, trying to console him. "I know, but it doesn't feel right. I'm living this life, but it's like a prison. I miss my family, and I can't go back," Uzochukwu said, his voice trembling. Days turned into weeks, and the burden of guilt grew heavier. Uzochukwu continued to live in luxury, surrounded by people who cared about his money than him. His heart ached with loneliness, and he knew he had to make a choice: continue living a life of emptiness or find a way to reconnect with his roots. One day, as he stared at the reflection of his lavish lifestyle, he whispered to himself, "I need to fix this. I need to find a way to make things right." Uzochukwu realized that true wealth wasn't just about money. It was about the love and support of his family, the warmth of genuine relationships, and the peace that came from living a life of integrity. He knew that the road ahead would be tough, but he was determined to find his way back to the people who mattered the most. The next few weeks were a torment for Uzochukwu. Sleepless nights and constant guilt gnawed at him, and he couldn't escape the thoughts of his family. Finally, he decided it was time to see his loved ones in Aba. Early one morning, he packed a few things, got into one of his cars, and set off. As he pulled up in front of his family's house, the familiar sight and sounds of Aba flooded back, bringing a mix of regret. His parents and siblings, seeing the car, rushed out to greet him. "Uzo, you are back!" His mother Ebere exclaimed, tears of joy streaming down her face. Her father Ekene hugged him tightly. "We have missed you so much, son." I have missed you all too, Uzochukwu replied, his voice choked with emotion. His younger siblings, Obina, Chemeka, and Adeze, surrounded him, chattering excitedly and hugging him. The reunion was heartfelt, and Uzochukwu felt a flicker of the warmth he had been missing. Word of Uzochukwu's return spread quickly. Adama, hearing the news, left her shop immediately to see for herself. When she arrived, she saw Uzochukwu standing with his family and ran to him. Uzo, I can't believe you are here, Adama cried, throwing her arms around him. I'm so sorry for not reaching out sooner, Adama. Uzochukwu said, holding her tightly. I have missed you so much. After some time, Uzochukwu gathered everyone together. I know I have been gone for a long time, and I have hurt you all by not staying in touch. I'm truly sorry. I have brought this money to help make things right. He handed a bundle of money to his parents. Papa, Mama, use this for anything you need. Turning to Adama, he gave her another bundle. Adama, this is for you to expand your business. You deserve it. As he distributed the money, a sudden sharp pain shot through his head. Uzochukwu screamed in agony, clutching his head. Ah, no, no, he shouted, falling to the ground. His family rushed to his side, panicked and confused. Uzo, what's happening? Ebere cried out. Uzochukwu began to speak gibberish, his eyes wild with fear. Aranwanya Asaba, Aranwanya Asaba, he kept repeating. Adama knelt beside him, tears streaming down her face. Uzo, talk to me. What's going on? Neighbors gathered, offering help. Together, they managed to hold Uzochukwu down and rushed him to a local church. The pastor, seeing the commotion, quickly gathered the prayer warriors. Pray, everyone. This is a spiritual battle, the pastor declared. They prayed fervently, their voices rising in unison. Lord, deliver Uzochukwu from this evil. Heal him and bring him peace, they chanted. After what felt like hours, Uzochukwu calmed down and fell into a deep sleep. The pastor, wiping sweat from his brow, turned to the family. Wait until he wakes up. He has so much to tell us. Later, Uzochukwu woke up with tears in his eyes. Mama, Papa, Adama, everyone, I need to tell you what happened. He began, his voice shaky. Through tears, he confessed everything, his trip to Asaba, the meeting with the mother of wealth, and the dire consequences of drinking from her breast. I'm so sorry. I did it because I wanted to help you all, but I made a terrible mistake. His family listened in shock but with compassion. Ebere hugged him tightly. We forgive you, Uzo. You are our son and we love you. Yes, son, we are here for you. We will get through this together, Ekene added, placing a hand on Uzochukwu's shoulder. Adamma, her eyes filled with tears, held his hand. I forgive you, Uzo. We will find a way to move forward. The next few days were difficult. Uzochukwu stayed in Aba, avoiding any contact with Ebuka. One afternoon, his phone rang. It was Ebuka. Reluctantly, Uzochukwu answered. Uzo, there has been a fire. Your house and businesses are all gone. Ebuka said, panic in his voice. Ebuka, I don't want to hear from you again. This is over. Don't call me anymore. Uzochukwu replied before hanging up. He felt a strange sense of relief after ending the call. The wealth and the businesses were gone, but he still had his family. They were his true wealth. In the days that followed, Uzochukwu focused on rebuilding his life in Aba. The road ahead was uncertain and challenging, but he knew he had the support of his family and Adama. They were determined to move forward together, with love, faith, and the hope of a better days ahead. With the unwavering support of his family and Adama, Uzochukwu decided it was time to start over. The path ahead was challenging, but he was determined to rebuild his life from the ground up. Adama was by his side every step of the way, providing the encouragement and love he needed to keep moving. Uzo, we can do this together, Adama said one evening as they sat discussing their future. We just need to find something we are passionate about. I have always admired the craftsmanship of shoemaking. Uzochukwu replied thoughtful. Maybe I could learn that skill and start making shoes. Adama smiled, her eyes shining with determination. And I can continue my sewing. We can combine our talents and create something beautiful. With a plan in place, Uzochukwu began apprenticing with a local shoemaker in Aba. The work was demanding, but he poured his heart and soul into learning the craft. Day by day, his skills improved. Adama supported him through every step, bringing him lunch at the workshop and encouraging him when he felt discouraged. After 6 months of hard work and dedication, Uzochukwu became proficient in shoemaking. He started making shoes for people in the community, and word quickly spread about the quality and craftsmanship of his work. One evening, Adama approached him with an idea. Uzo, we should open our own shop. I can sew clothes and you can make shoes. Together, we can create a brand that people will love. Uzochukwu nodded, feeling a surge of excitement. That's a great idea, Adama. Let's do it. They pooled their resources and opened a small shop in Aba. The sign above the door proudly displayed their names, Uzo and Adama Creations. The shop quickly gained popularity, with customers lining up to buy Adama's beautifully sewn clothes and Uzochukwu's expertly crafted shoes. Their businesses grew rapidly. They received contracts and deals, expanding their reach beyond Aba. They worked tirelessly, often late into the night, but their hard work paid off. Within a few years, they opened branches in neighboring cities and even started customizing shoes and clothing for their clients. One sunny afternoon, as they stood outside their shop, Adama turned to Uzochukwu. We have come so far, Uzo. I'm so proud of us. Uzochukwu smiled, wrapping his arm around her. I couldn't have done it without you, Adama. You have been my rock. Their love grew stronger with each passing day, and eventually Uzochukwu proposed. They had a beautiful wedding, surrounded by family and friends, celebrating not only their love, but also their journey from hardship to success. Years later, Uzochukwu and Adama's business continued to thrive. They opened more branches and expanded their product line. They built a beautiful house for Uzochukwu's family and another one for themselves. Their siblings continued their education, and the entire family standard of living improved significantly. One evening, as Uzochukwu and Adama sat on the porch of their new home, they reflected on their journey. We have been through so much, Adama, but look at us now. We have built a beautiful life together. Uzochukwu said, his voice filled with gratitude. Yes, we have, and it's all because we never gave up on each other. Adama replied, smiling. Uzochukwu nodded, holding her hand. I'm so grateful for your love and support. I wouldn't have been here without you. Adama leaned her head on his shoulder, and I'm grateful for your strength and determination. We make a great team, Uzo. Their story became an inspiration to many in their community. Uzochukwu and Adama often spoke at local events, sharing their journey and encouraging others to pursue their dreams with passion and perseverance. One day, while addressing a group of young entrepreneurs, Uzochukwu said, success doesn't come easy. It requires hard work, dedication, and the support of loved ones. Never give up, no matter how difficult the journey may seem. If you believe in yourself and stay true to your values, you can achieve anything. Adama added, and remember, true wealth isn't just about money. It's about the love and support of family and friends. Cherish those relationships and you will find fulfillment beyond material success. Their words resonated deeply with the audience, inspiring many to follow their dreams. Uzochukwu and Adama had not only built a successful business, but also created a legacy of hope and perseverance. As the years passed, they continued to grow their business, giving back to their community and helping others achieve their goals. They built schools and sponsored educational programs, ensuring that future generations had the opportunities they needed to succeed. One evening, as they watched the sun set from their porch, Uzochukwu turned to Adama. We have come a long way, haven't we? Yes, we have, Adama replied, smiling, and I wouldn't trade this journey for anything. Uzochukwu kissed her forehead. Neither would I. Here is to many more years of love, success, and happiness. Together, they faced the future with confidence, knowing that no matter what challenges lay ahead, they had each other. Their story was a testament to the power of love, determination, and the unwavering belief that with hard work and perseverance, anything is possible. And so, Uzochukwu and Adama lived their lives, surrounded by family, friends, and the community they had built, always grateful for the journey that brought them to where they were. This story reminds us that the path to prosperity is often long and challenging, but staying true to our values and relying on the support of our loved ones can lead to lasting fulfillment. Quick fixes and shortcuts may bring temporary gains, but it is the consistent effort and honest work that build a solid foundation for a prosperous and meaningful life. Thank you for watching this amazing story on African Stories. If you liked it and felt inspired with their journey, please show your support by clicking the like button, sharing with your friends, and leaving a comment below. To see more interesting stories and learn about different cultures, subscribe to African Stories and don't forget to ring the notification bell so you never miss a new story. Your support means a lot and helps us bring more stories to you. Until we meet again, stay connected, stay inspired, and keep smiling.